Disclaimer: if you're a Raiders fan, the truth in this video may upset or hurt your feelings. Since I first began watching the NFL, I've seen teams that sucked at a certain point that were rebuilt to solid teams. They might not win a Super Bowl, but they at least show some progression and some promise. Here's two examples. Take the Rams, who won the Super Bowl last year. Any Rams fan can tell you the team was miserable before Sean McVay's rebuild and arrival. Even the Jaguars, who aren't a good franchise by any means, at least had a stout defensive playoff team that made it to the AFC Championship in 2017, and even gave Brady a run for his money. That didn't work out, so they scrapped the team and had a long, slow rebuild. Fast forward 2023, they just made the playoffs with the Blondie. They look pretty solid, and they're now first in their division. When you put this into context, it seems these teams, no matter how bad, can build something at least somewhat promising in the following years of many defeats. I apologize to Raider fans for this video, but I do think it's easy for me to say that the Raiders ain't building nothing but a coffin for everybody associated with them. A team that has 3 Super Bowls to their name, still stuck in the past. Like an old man who can't get over his high school days. The Raiders are the most incompetent team in the NFL, in my opinion. And they've been getting a pass for years. I'm serious when I say this. When the Browns and the Jags have more playoff wins than you do since 2003, that makes you a bottom feeder that lives off past victories. And realistically, they've been a top 6 worst team in the league for 2 decades. It's crazy that most people don't see it like that. So let me open your eyes real quick. Let's check out 3 of the worst teams in the NFL and see records in the last 20 years. I bet you didn't know one of these teams was the Raiders. Why don't they get talked about as a bottom feeder team in the league? This is the epitome of doing absolutely nothing for 20 years. They haven't won their division since 2002. They're a non-factor to the AFC West year in and year out, no matter their record. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to hit you with some even more bad news. This is Josh McDaniels' first season with the Raiders, and they are now looking at releasing Derek Carr. Which means Adams is most likely to go with him. All that being said, Josh Jacobs being on the last year of his contract, while statistically being the best back in the league, it seems like they'll go into full rebuild mode. But haven't they been trying to build a good team for the last 20 years? The Raiders just went 6-11 this year. Just ponder how things are going to be for the Raiders in the upcoming years if Carr, Jacobs, and Adams leave. Leaving that team with absolutely nothing but Mark Davis, his barber, and his poor decisions. All very bad outcomes. I can't tell you what's more ridiculous. His hair, the fact that they've had 9 different head coaches since 2010, or that Mike Mayock, Reggie McKenzie, and Hugh Jackson were the Raiders GMs from 2011 to 2019. Mark Davis has gotta be tripping, right? These particular people have already been given their chance before the Raiders and never proved themselves. Yet Mark Davis still thinks it's a good idea to hire these guys managing your entire team? Are you serious? I don't want to hate, but I know the great Al Davis is rolling in his grave right now. Knowing that he brought y'all a winning culture, and this is how the team repays him after years of building a championship franchise goes down the toilet. It's hard to blame it all on the staff, but I feel like if a team has the same type of record for 20 years, you wouldn't think it was the players, but a poor management. I was never sold on Derek Carr. I don't know how a single person was. He's only had one single visually impressive season in my opinion, and that was in 2016, which he never finished, because of his broken leg before the playoffs. That was 7 years ago. I think the decision to explore different options at quarterback was made 4 to 5 years too late. Being that he's been surrounded with good weapons, he never won his division, only had 2 winning seasons, and one 8-8 season in a decade in the NFL. That is not a franchise quarterback. They chose to extend Derek Carr and trade Khalil Mack, who was an all-pro at 2 different positions. Remember that? It's disappointing seeing a team with so much potential literally suck every year, but at some point you gotta see things for what they are. The Raiders, in my opinion, are the new Detroit Lions. So basically, they suck.